this is 1960s Teisco. Let's just tap on it. Let's see if she makes noise. Not bad. So this looks like it's calling it a mic right there, but you've got a 3 switches. And so these are for these 2 pickups. Then imagine these are for these 2 pickups. And you can actually have all 4 pickups on at the same time. So kind of cool. It's got a nice little sticker right here that says mic on, mic 2 on, R and S. And then imagine you got all the same stuff right here. So, not bad looking guitar. I'm just going to put some strings on it. I have a customer that wants to come in and get this one off of me already. I think what I'm going to do is just clean on it a little bit here. And let's start by putting a little 3-in-1 oil up here in the tuners. Just a little dab of oil. There you go. Now this neck plate is really unusual. First time seeing one of these. You know, this old Japanese stuff, you see crazy stuff. But it's got a 5-bolt neck plate. And if we look right here, we can see it says made in Japan. And then it's got the 5th bolt that comes around, but there's a giant gap underneath it there. So, okay. I see what they were going for here. Super cool. I like it. Got a little bit of Gibson polish on this for a minute. The Gibson polish is really good stuff. This is going to be a bit much, but here we go. So having the electronics working good, that's a awesome thing to happen right out of the gate here. The last guitar that was an old, you guys might have seen it, but that old hollow body, I think that was definitely the wrong bridge on that thing. You can go look back on that one. But that old Japanese hollow body and wrong bridge. I made a wraparound tailpiece out of it. It's a playable guitar, but it's wrong. The bridge is wrong on that. I'm pretty convinced that it is. Alright, so the neck has already been cleaned. I started working on this about 2 weeks ago. I kind of shined up the neck a little bit. I've had this guitar for maybe as long as maybe a month now. Had a lot of fun last weekend. The band played a gig. We opened up for Zebra in Agora Hills, California, which is northwest LA. Beautiful location. Okay, that little thing just broke. Oh man, this stuff is just falling apart. Put a little dab of glue under that. Yeah, so just in hitting this with a rag, the plastic broke. So I'm going to just lay a little bit of glue underneath that. This guitar Being from the 1960s, this thing is old. And it's weird that something 60 years old is still something that, you know, people are into. Like that new, the new Beatles song, right? Now and Then. I just think it's super cool that the Stones have a new album, and Mick sounds awesome on there. And the Beatles have a new song, and it turned out really good. But what blows my mind is, you know, now because of the Stones and the Beatles putting out new music, there's possibly a chance that 10, 15-year-old kids are listening to the Beatles and the Stones, and that can be their favorite band. You talk to a little 10-year-old kid and you say, what's your favorite band? And they say, oh, it's the Beatles. And that would be like us. Imagine back in the day when we were 10 years old and it was the mid-70s, 1973 or something. And instead of listening to Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or Deep Purple or something in 1973, when we were all like 10 years old or 12 years old, we were listening to a band that was 60 years old. So that would be like our favorite band in the 70s was from 1910 or 1913. So that blows me away that there's still these old musicians out there that are still relevant. Super cool. And basically, the new Beatles tune, it's honestly, you know, it's not their best work they've ever done, but it's not a bad tune. It's borderline, you know, it's pretty good. I mean, back in the old days, it probably would have been a throwaway. Okay, so the nut is cut really, really deep on this. Alright, let's change the nut. Start by taking the truss rod cover off. So I was in Los Angeles last weekend, right? And as I was driving home Sunday morning, I was listening to KLOS. And KLOS has Breakfast with the Beatles on Sunday mornings. Yeah, that was just cut really deep. Took a little bit of the wood with it when it came out. Yeah, so I kind of got my Beatles fix driving home Sunday. KLOS, it's a really, really old classic rock station. 95.5 in LA. And now it's a classic rock station, but, you know, 20 and 30 years ago, it used to be the modern rock station. So, yeah, when Van Halen announced Sammy was the new singer back in the 80s, KLOS was the station that they went on and did that. Okay, let me see if I have a nut that is the same size for that. I'm going to take my... Take the file and just kind of clean this edge up. see how this one looks in there. Is it laying flat? It is. I think I'm going to go with this one. This is a new plastic, remanufactured. It looks to be very, very similar. A little tiny bit taller. We're going to use wood glue and get a little dab of glue on it. There we go. Well, that should be enough. And then I just push it down, and I use my finger and my thumb to because you can feel when it's on there nicely. Moving it back and forth. Shove it down on there. And let that thing dry. So I'll be back in a few. Alright, so since we've got that truss rod off, let's stick a wrench in here. Okay, and let's just test on this truss rod a little bit. There, it's coming loose. And then here we're going to snug it back up, but after we get some strings on it, we'll make some adjustments to this if we need to. Alright, so got this bridge piece here, and the strings are way off to the side now. And so I've got another one though that I'm going to try to use. And let's see if this one gets these strings aligned up on here better. If it'll fit. Oh, she's tight. Kind of wants to. Kind of wants to. Are the strings going to be lined up better? No. Yeah, again, you have this same problem where the high E string has got plenty of room right here, but the low string is falling off. It should be more over this direction, right? And now this piece isn't exactly flat, so to give you a little string radius, you want to put it on where it almost looks completely flat. Where this one has a better radius to it. But this guy's having a little tough time getting down on there. I think maybe I'll... Which one should I use? See, that's the thing about these old Japanese. The parts, I get a lot of them, and all the parts are always weird. See, now the string would look better way over here, but it's got little notches in it. And, yeah, it doesn't line the strings up very nicely. And this one would probably do the same thing, but it's got a radius to it, you know. So, although this this guitar probably doesn't have much of a radius about it, it looks pretty flat. So we're just going to leave that one on there. This is one of those, unfortunately, it is what it is kind of guitars. It is what it is. There's not much we can do unless we get super crazy, changing out parts and all kinds of stuff like that, where you're putting a lot of time and effort into a $150 guitar. I know some of you guys are like, oh, you can get more than $150 for it, but can you really? Okay. Raise these up a little bit. Wow. These are weird. This is almost like a micro tilt adjustment. Wonder if you loosen this one, is it going to bring the neck that way? You can't really lower the strings too much because it's going to hit these pickups. If I start messing with the pickups, you don't know what's going to happen with string height and everything. The pickups could just fall right out of here. Someday I'm going to learn to stop messing with these things. Although they're kind of fun on some days. Instead of having dots, fret markers, it's got these nice cool blocks up here that look good, and then on the 12th fret you got 2 of them. I have no idea if this is going to do anything, if the neck's going to move. Okay, so, you know, not my best work, I will say. There wasn't a whole lot I could do to this thing. Some of these old Japanese things, the parts are, they don't always work. But I think a neck shim maybe would have been better. But one thing that I do have going through my parts, I found a bridge cover. And this thing came in just like this, where it had the screw laying right there. And I think this will kind of set right there. Maybe we can screw that down on there. Some guys might not want this thing on there, but it kind of completes it. See that? How about that? That's the best thing I could do to the whole thing. Alright, let's throw it up on your knee and alright, so here's our volume for the front pickups. Here's our volume for the rears. So I think we have a master volume, the first one here. And then maybe this would be a tone. Yeah. So you got a volume and a tone. Well, here it is, guys. This is as good as I can get it. It's a player. Let's go ahead and get on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next guitar.